All right, so here we go again. All right, so moving on to our lesson 8, which is on graphing and writing equations in quadratic. So hopefully you have these notes out in front of you. And what we want to do is, once again, very similar to what we did with our absolute value functions, we're going to start with an exploration in Desmos. Now, there's actually two parts to the exploration, and we're just going to focus on the first part, which is problems 1 to 10 right here. Okay, so that's what this video is going to cover. We'll get to the 11 through 15 in the next video. All right, so let me show you one quick thing on Desmos before you begin. Let me pull Desmos up here for you. And I just want to make sure you're good on how to graph x squared. So, all right, we're going to use the keyboard down here. All right, so I'm going to type y equals x. And then notice that's a line, but if I want to put a square on it, I'm going to find the square key just like you would see on your calculator. I can hit that key, maybe. Let's see, try it again. Slow. Okay, there we go. All right, so a little slow on the uptake there. All right, so that's how you can graph that. I wanted to show you that really quickly. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead, all right, pause the video, do problems 1 through 10, turn the video back on, and we'll go over it and see what patterns you find. All right, so I'm going to set my papers out of the way here and go through what I found. All right, so when you look at the opener here and the exploration, you graph y equals x squared, so we get a U-shaped graph, and that vertex is 0, 0. On number 2, you graph y equals the quantity x minus 2 squared, get that U-shaped graph, and the vertex is at 2, 0. Number 3, we graph y equals the quantity x plus 3 squared, get our U-shaped graph, and our vertex is at negative 3, 0. And number 4, y equals the quantity x minus 1 squared, our vertex is 1, 0. All right, so hopefully you see that it moves the graph left to right, that h value is the x-coordinate of the vertex. And then, just like what we've seen with our absolute value graphs, correct? Y equals the absolute value of x has a vertex of 0, 0. Y equals the absolute value of x minus 2 has a vertex of 2, 0. Y equals the absolute value of x plus 3 has a vertex of negative 3, 0. Y equals x minus 1 has a vertex of 1, 0. So, once again, translating what you know. Do I see that same pattern even though I'm in a different function? All right, so let's go over and flip over and look at problems 5, 6, 7, and 8 real quick. So when I graph number 5, we get a vertex of 0, 2. And once again, we see that in our equation up here. When I graph number 6, I get a vertex of 0, negative 3. And once again, we see that up here in our equation. So once again, what does that k value do? It moves that graph up and down. All right, and that's the y-coordinate of the vertex. We've seen that before, right? And then 7 and 8 just takes and gives you h and k together. All right, so we graph number 7. We have a vertex at 1, 3. Once again, we can see that 1, 3 in the equation. All right, number 8, we graph this. All right, we have a vertex of negative 4, negative 2. We can see that in the equation. And once again, what does hk represent? Just like in an absolute value function, it represents the vertex. Now, to wrap this video up, let's look at problems 9 and 10 here. Okay. Woo, sorry, knocked my computer sideways there. All right, so straighten that back up here. All right, and then we look at 9 and 10. When we graph y equals x squared, we get this graph right here. Y equals negative x squared gives us this graph right here. All right, y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared plus 1 gives us this graph. Y equals negative 2 times x minus 3 squared plus 1 gives us that graph. So what does an a value do? Well, if that a value is positive, like on those two functions, all right, we're going to get a U-shaped graph that opens up. If a is negative, we're going to get a U-shaped graph that opens down. Now, the a value is also going to tell us something very important about our rate of change, but that's going to be the next video. All right, so do your check-in for me, and then I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great night.